The air inside Le Bijou, Beverly Hills' most exclusive handbag boutique, was thick with the scent of expensive leather and an even more expensive sense of entitlement. Seraphina Voltaire, the boutique's owner, held a white cloth between two perfectly manicured fingers as if it were a dirty rag. Her cold, sharp eyes were locked on her quietest employee, Maria Santos. "Let me be crystal clear, because it seems I have to be." Seraphina's voice was low, but it sliced through the showroom. Two of her wealthiest clients, Anastasia and Beatrice, watched, loving the drama. "I don't pay you to have opinions. I don't pay you to think. I pay you to fold, to polish, and to be as silent and unseen as the dust you're supposed to be cleaning. Now get back to it before your presence scares off the real customers." Maria stood completely still. She didn't flinch. She just gave a tiny, almost invisible nod, her face a perfect mask of composure. As she turned away from the smirking women, their faces reflected in the glass she was about to clean, she picked up her bottle. But when she sprayed the display case, she saw her own reflection, and in her eyes wasn't defeat. It was a flicker of something else, a silent, burning promise. Le Bijou wasn't just a store, it was a temple for worshipping luxury. Handbags that cost anywhere from $5,000 to $250,000 were displayed on pedestals like holy relics. The lighting was designed to make every piece of hardware glitter. For the last 2 years, this world of impossible beauty and even more impossible prices had been Maria's world. Her days were a masterclass in being invisible. She'd arrive an hour early to make sure every surface was spotless, every bag perfectly angled. She knew the inventory better than anyone, not just by its number, but by its story. She understood the stitching on a Hermes Kelly, the feel of the caviar leather on a Chanel 255, and the delicate hand-painted flowers on a rare Gucci Flora. She handled the bags with a reverence that was almost love, a gentle touch that appreciated the artistry and the hours of labor locked inside. To Seraphina, this was just good service. To Maria, it was an education. Seraphina rarely even spoke to Maria, preferring to bark orders through other sales associates. When she did, she acted as if talking to someone so far beneath her was physically exhausting. Maria was the one who fetched Seraphina's extra hot, no-foam almond milk latte. Maria was the one who ran to the dry cleaners. She was the ghost in the machine of Le Bijou, essential but completely unseen. This afternoon was just like any other. The door chimed, announcing Anastasia and Beatrice, two women who wore their wealth like body armor. "Seraphina, darling," Anastasia drawled. "I am in desperate need of retail therapy. My husband actually suggested we fly commercial to St. Bart's." "Commercial? Can you imagine?" Seraphina rushed over, air-kissing both their cheeks. "The absolute horror," she said, dripping with fake sympathy. "We have to find you something to ease the pain. A new Birkin, maybe. I have a stunning vert criquet in the back that would perfectly match your soul-crushing despair." They all let out a laugh that sounded like ice clinking in a crystal glass. Maria, who was organizing a display of Fendi baguettes, didn't even look up. "Oh, look, B," Anastasia said, flicking her wrist in Maria's direction, a massive diamond catching the light. "The help is being terribly busy today," Beatrice squinted. "Is that the one from, what's that place with all the islands and the beaches?" "The Philippines," Seraphina chimed in, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Yes, that's Maria. She's a very simple girl, but she works hard. Don't you, dear?" Maria's hands paused for a split second over a sequined baguette. She heard every word. She always did. They talked about her like she was a piece of furniture, speculating about the squalor she must live in and the dozens of relatives she was probably sending her tiny paycheck to. Their words were casual daggers, thrown by people who've never had to consider the feelings of someone they saw as insignificant. "You're a saint for hiring her, Seraphina," Beatrice said. "It's practically a charity case." "Well, one must do one's part." Seraphina sighed dramatically. Though I do wonder if she even understands English. I have to use very, very small words. Maria, she said, raising her voice slowly, coffee for us, now. Maria turned, her face a blank slate. Of course, ma'am. The usual for everyone. Her English was perfect, unaccented, clear. It always was, but they never bothered to notice. The women were already back to their gossip. Maria walked to the back, her posture perfect. She prepared the 3 coffees with the same care she gave the handbags. She was used to it. The invisibility, the casual cruelty. It was all just fuel. Later that night, long after everyone had gone, the boutique belonged to Maria. In the quiet, she could finally get to her real work. Taped inside her locker was a worn photo of her parents and a younger Maria, smiling in front of a modest home in the Philippines. It was the last photo she took before she left for America, before her father passed away, before her mother poured their life savings into her daughter's dream. And that dream was so much bigger than being a shop girl. From a locked box, she pulled out her real tools. A laptop, a stack of books, the craft of couture, leathers of the world, forensic analysis of high-fashion stitching, and finally, a sleek black device with a microscopic camera. It was an entropy device, a cutting-edge tool that uses AI to authenticate luxury goods bought with a year's worth of scrimped savings. Under a single lamp, the quiet shop girl vanished. In her place sat a focused, brilliant scholar. She placed a counterfeit Chanel bag she'd bought at a thrift store under the lens. The image on her laptop magnified 200 times. "Oh, okay," she murmured, her voice suddenly alive. "Look at the quilting. The diamond is supposed to have at least 10 stitches per side. This one has 8. Sloppy." She moved the device to the lock. "And the hardware. See the pitting. Authentic Chanel hardware is gold-plated. It doesn't pit. Plus, the right C should always overlap the left C at the top." She worked for hours, cross-referencing with her books and online guides. She was learning to spot every tell, every tiny imperfection that screamed fake. This was her secret university. Every insult she endured was converted into another hour of study. The women who mocked her had no idea. Their temple of excess was her personal laboratory. And the final exam was coming. It all came crashing down the day a woman with new money jitters walked in. She carried a large, pristine-looking Gucci handbag. "I'd like to consign this," the woman announced, placing it on the counter with a thud that made Maria cringe. "It's a rare Gucci Dionysus embroidered bee from Italy. I've just grown tired of it." Seraphina's eyes lit up. She knew the bag could fetch over $4,000 on the resale market. Her consignment fee was a steep 40%. She gave the bag a quick, dramatic once-over. "It's exquisite," Seraphina declared, already counting her profit. "We'd be delighted to find it a new home." From 10 feet away, Maria saw it. The bee embroidery looked flat. The green in the leaves was too bright. The canvas itself looked smooth, almost like plastic. It was a super fake, a high-quality counterfeit designed to fool the average person, but a fake nonetheless. Selling it would be illegal and would destroy the boutique's reputation. Maria hesitated. She knew what speaking up would mean. It would be a direct challenge to Seraphina's authority. She thought of her father and his words. "Your good name is all you truly own, Maria. Don't ever sell it cheap." Taking a deep breath, she waited until the client left and knocked on the door of Seraphina's glass office. "Ma'am, pardon me," she began respectfully. Seraphina looked up, annoyed. "What is it?" "It's about the Gucci bag," Maria said carefully. "I noticed a few irregularities. The embroidery and the canvas texture seem off. I believe we should authenticate it properly before we list it for sale." Silence. Seraphina stared, her expression twisting from irritation to disbelief and then to pure rage. She rose slowly from her chair. "What did you just say to me?" she asked, her voice dangerously quiet. I was only suggesting for the store's protection. You, Seraphina spat, are suggesting that I don't know my own business? That I, Seraphina Voltaire, could be fooled by a fake? She stormed out of her office, grabbed Maria by the arm, and dragged her onto the showroom floor where Anastasia and Beatrice were browsing. Ladies, you are not going to believe this, Seraphina announced. This thing, she said, shaking Maria's arm, has the audacity to question my judgment. She thinks she knows more about handbags than I do. Anastasia gasped. No, how dare she? After everything I've done for you, Seraphina seethed, her face inches from Maria's. I gave you a job. I plucked you from obscurity and let you stand in a place you could never afford to even look at. And you repay me with insolence? Maria stood her ground, her heart pounding. Ma'am, I only meant to help. If that bag is a counterfeit, it could... Seraphina let out a sharp, cruel laugh. Counterfeit? What would you know about counterfeits? Where you come from, a plastic grocery bag is a luxury. You think because you wipe dust off these bags that you understand them. She turned to her friends, playing to her audience. She's just jealous. She can't stand to see these beautiful things that she will never, ever own, so she tries to cause trouble. So ungrateful, Beatrice chimed in with fake disgust. The humiliation was crushing. Seraphina's voice got louder, more venomous. You are a ghost, a shadow. You are not paid to think. Your opinion is worthless. Say it, say, my opinion is worthless. Maria stayed silent, her jaw tight. She wouldn't give her the satisfaction. Her silence only made Seraphina angrier. You think you're better than me. You, with your cheap shoes, you are nothing, a charity case. She leaned in, hissing, I know your kind. You come here all meek and humble, but you're just waiting for a chance to steal. Is that it? Were you planning to swap the bag for a fake yourself? The accusation hung in the air, vile and poisonous. Tears pricked Maria's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Seraphina straightened up, delivering the final blow. You know what? I'm done with your ungrateful attitude. You're a liability. You're fired. The words hit Maria like a physical blow. Get your things, Seraphina commanded, and get out of my sight. I never want to see your pathetic face in here again. You're banned from Rodeo Drive, understand? Without a word, Maria turned and walked to the back room. Her hands trembled as she opened her locker. She looked at the photo of her family, took it down and placed it in her worn handbag. She left her uniform, neatly folded on the bench. Head held high, she walked back through the showroom, right past the three smirking women. As the heavy glass door chimed behind her, she stepped into the bright California sun, banished. The last thing she heard was Seraphina's triumphant laughter. 2 days later, the fake Gucci bag sat proudly on a pedestal in the middle of Le Bijou. Seraphina, Anastasia, and Beatrice were sipping champagne in her office. Best decision I ever made, Seraphina said. The whole vibe of the store is lighter without her moping around. It was like cutting out a tumor. You dodged a bullet, darling, Anastasia agreed. She was clearly trying to undermine you. As if, Seraphina laughed. She couldn't manage a lemonade stand. Their laughter was cut short by the chime of the front door. An impeccably dressed man in his late 50s stood in the doorway. He wore a bespoke suit that whispered its expense, not shouted it. He had an air of authority that instantly silenced the boutique. May I help you, sir? The sales associate asked, looking nervous. I believe so, the man said, his voice smooth with a French accent. I have a 2 o'clock appointment. My name is Jean-Luc Dubois. Seraphina nearly choked. She shot out of her chair, a fake smile plastered on her face. Jean-Luc Dubois was a legend, the head of North American expansion for Maison de Luxe, a Parisian luxury conglomerate. A partnership with him could make her boutique world famous. Monsieur Dubois, she gushed, Seraphina Voltaire, it is an absolute honor to welcome you to Le Bijou. Mr. Dubois gave her a polite but cool smile. Madame Voltaire, I'm here for my scheduled meeting with your boutique's lead authenticator. Seraphina's smile froze. Her blood ran cold. "My lead authenticator," she stammered. "Yes," Mr. Dubois said, glancing at a notebook. "A Ms. Maria Santos. Our people have been following her work online. Her analyses are remarkably astute. We were told she has been developing her skills here. My company is very interested in talent with her precision." Panic seized Seraphina. Maria, the quiet Filipina girl, an expert. It was impossible. Her mind raced for a lie. "Oh, Miss Santos." "Yes, Maria. Such a talent," she said, her voice an octave too high. "There's been a sudden family emergency back home. She had to fly out this morning. Terribly sudden." Mr. Dubois raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Is that so?" "She said nothing of it in her email to my office this morning confirming our meeting." Before Seraphina could dig her hole any deeper, the door chimed again, and there stood Maria. She wasn't in her drab uniform. She wore a sleek, charcoal grey suit, her hair styled perfectly. She looked poised, confident, and powerful. Beside her stood another sharp-dressed man. "Sorry, we're a few minutes late, Monsieur Dubois," the man beside Maria said. "We were just having Maria sign the final papers for her contract." He extended a hand. "James Carter, Senior Talent Scout for Maison de Luxe. A pleasure." Mr. Dubois' cool expression broke into a warm smile as he turned to Maria. "Ms. Santos, a delight. And please, call me Jean-Luc." Maria smiled back, a genuine, radiant smile Seraphina had never seen. Maria, a talent scout, Mr. Dubois, a contract. Her pathetic lie was exposed. Mr. Dubois' gaze shifted from the confident Maria to Seraphina's ghost-white face. He looked directly at Seraphina. "Madame Voltaire, I was under the impression Ms. Santos was a valued expert here, yet you seem surprised." Maria met Seraphina's terrified gaze. There was no malice in her eyes, just calm certainty. "I was an employee here, sir," Maria said, her voice ringing through the boutique. "A sales assistant. My employment was terminated 2 days ago." "Terminated?" Mr. Dubois asked. "Why?" He circled it once, his expert eye taking it all in. "My God," he murmured in disgust. "This is one of the most laughable fakes I've ever seen. The monogram is wrong, the stitching is polyester, the hardware is cheap zinc alloy." He fixed his furious stare on Seraphina. "My company was considering this boutique for the exclusive West Coast launch of our new flagship brand, a partnership worth millions. That consideration," he said, his voice low and lethal, "is now terminated. Maison de Luxe does not partner with frauds, with establishments that sell cheap fakes, or with fools who fire the only person in the room with any real talent." The words hit Seraphina like a physical blow. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. Desperate, she lunged at Mr. Dubois' arm. "Please! It was a mistake, a misunderstanding. I can fix this." He pulled his arm away as if he'd been touched by something dirty. "Madame," he said with finality, "your reputation in this industry is finished. You are a joke." He turned his back on her, sobbing, and addressed Maria with warmth. "Miss Santos, our offer to you stands. In fact, let's amend it. We will be opening our own flagship store on Rodeo Drive. We need someone with your integrity and rare skill to run it." Seraphina stared, her face a mess of tears. Anastasia and Beatrice huddled together, looking small and pathetic. Maria looked at the woman who had humiliated her, now a crumpled heap on the floor. She didn't feel anger or revenge, just a quiet sense of justice. She had earned this moment through long nights of study and years of enduring insults. She turned her back on the ruins of Seraphina's life and looked toward her future. Her voice was firm and clear. "Yes, sir," she said with a decisive nod. "I accept." Without a backward glance, Maria, Mr. Dubois, and James Carter walked out of Le Bijou, leaving Seraphina alone in the silent, glittering tomb she had built for herself. So what's the real takeaway from a story like this? It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? that a person's true worth isn't about the labels they wear or the money they have. It's about character, integrity, and the quiet dignity of hard work. Greatness can come from absolutely anywhere, and real value is something you have to build inside yourself. What did you think of this story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more stories that will inspire and make you think, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.